Last night, under the glittering lights of Paris, something happened that could change the course of hip-hop forever. Two of the genre's most respected giants, Kendrick Lamar and J. were spotted meeting in a discreet, dimly lit lounge, far from the public eye. No flashy entourage. No cameras allowed. Just two lyrical masterminds in deep conversation, their expressions shifting between intense focus and bursts of laughter. For years, fans have dreamed of a collaboration between these two, with rumors surfacing and fading like mirages. But this meeting in Paris feels different, more deliberate, more urgent. Was it about a long-awaited joint album? A plan to reclaim hip-hop from the mainstream? Or something even bigger that could shake the industry to its core? Whatever it was, the world wasn't supposed to know until now. It was a crisp Parisian night, the kind of evening where the city seems to hum with secrets. The Eiffel Tower glittered in the distance, tourists filled the cafes, and somewhere in the 8th arrondissement, behind the frosted glass windows of a private members-only lounge, two of hip-hop's greatest minds were about to collide. Kendrick Lamar arrived first, dressed in a simple black hoodie, dark jeans, and sneakers that looked more worn than new. He moved quietly past the front desk without drawing attention. The staff knew better than to post anything online. This was a place for people who valued privacy over publicity. He took a seat in the corner booth, away from the main floor, the low jazz music in the background masking the silence of his anticipation. Minutes later, J. walked in, his hair tied back, wearing a long brown coat. Over casual streetwear, he looked every bit like someone who had just stepped off an overnight flight. There was no grand handshake, no exaggerated greeting, just two nods, and the kind of eye contact that says, "We have a lot to talk about." For years, hip-hop fans had speculated about a joint album between these two. Since their early careers, Kendrick and Cole's names had been linked, both lyrical powerhouses, both respected for their storytelling, and both known to keep their private lives away from the spotlight. Rumors of collaborations surfaced often, fueled by the occasional feature or cryptic Instagram post, but nothing concrete had ever emerged. Until now. The conversation began quietly. Cole leaned forward, speaking low enough that even the waiter couldn't catch the words. Kendrick listened, nodding, occasionally glancing toward the window as if making sure no one was watching. Their drinks arrived, nothing flashy, just sparkling water for Kendrick, and espresso for Cole. This wasn't about luxury. This was business. From a table across the room, a music journalist who had no idea what he was stumbling into recognized them. He froze, torn between approaching them for a quote or respecting the sacred privacy of the moment. He chose the latter, instead making mental notes of every detail, the way Kendrick kept tapping his fingers against the table like a drummer setting tempo, the way Cole occasionally leaned back, pausing before answering, as though weighing every word. The speculation is endless. Some sources claim they were discussing an upcoming joint project, an album recorded entirely in secret, away from label interference, away from streaming platform politics. Others believe they were planning a larger movement, a tour not just about music, but about reshaping hip-hop's direction, focusing on artistry over algorithms. Whatever the case, this wasn't small talk. Their expressions were too focused, their tone too intense. At one point, Kendrick pulled a small notebook from his pocket. Not a phone, not a tablet, a notebook. He flipped it open to a page covered in dense handwriting and sketches of song structures. Cole leaned in, his eyes scanning the words. A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. He added something of his own, borrowing Kendrick's pen. It was like watching two master architects sketching blueprints for a skyscraper only they could envision. They spoke for over 2 hours. No interruptions, no photos. The outside world had no clue what was unfolding just a few steps away from the busy Paris streets. By the time they stood to leave, there was a quiet sense of finality, as if an agreement had been reached, an unspoken contract between two titans. Cole left first, blending into the night. Kendrick stayed behind for a few minutes, paying the bill in cash before disappearing through the side exit. Within hours, whispers began to spread. A fan claimed they saw the two together. A grainy photo appeared on Twitter, showing two shadowy figures that looked suspiciously like them. Then, an anonymous source confirmed it. Kendrick Lamar and J. had met in Paris, and something big was coming. For now, no one knows exactly what, but the streets and the internet are buzzing. The next morning, Paris woke up as it always does, fresh bread in bakery windows, cyclists weaving through traffic, the sound of espresso machines hissing in cafes. But for hip-hop fans online, the air was different. Rumors of Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole's late-night meeting had spread like wildfire. At first, the idea sounded too good to be true. It's probably just two friends catching up, skeptics wrote on Reddit. But those who knew the industry understood one thing: these two don't just meet in public without a purpose. In the music world, every move has a strategy. And this meeting, it was chess, not checkers. The backdrop over the past year. Hip-hop had been dominated by high-profile beefs and endless social media drama. Chart positions were bought, viral TikTok snippets were manufactured, and algorithms seemed to dictate what counted as a hit. Kendrick had largely stayed quiet, appearing only on select tracks, and delivering sharp, precise verses that reminded people of his unmatched skill. Cole, meanwhile, had been working behind the scenes, dropping surprise features and keeping his loyal fan base guessing. Both artists shared a frustration. The art form they loved was being overtaken by noise, literal and metaphorical. They weren't against evolution, but they hated the idea of creativity being dictated by corporate boardrooms and data charts. Inside the conversation in that dimly lit Paris lounge, the conversation turned toward the future of hip-hop. Kendrick, if we're going to do this, it's gotta be real. No label politics, no streaming platform exclusives, no fake hype. Cole, facts. We control the drop, we control the rollout. No leaks, no previews, just art. They weren't talking about a single track, they were discussing a project that could change the culture. A full-length joint album. But not just any album. This would be something raw, crafted with intention, stripped of commercial gimmicks. One of the boldest parts of their plan. They were considering releasing it for free or, at least outside traditional streaming services, forcing fans to engage with it directly. No algorithm in between. The creative blueprint, according to an insider. Kendrick had already recorded several experimental tracks that didn't fit his usual style. They were darker, more layered, and fused jazz, soul, and even African rhythms. With classic boom-bap. Cole, on the other hand, had been experimenting with spoken-word intros and minimalist beats that put the spotlight entirely on lyrics. The two began imagining a structure. Side A, Kendrick-driven narratives, dense, complex, cinematic. Side B, Cole-led introspection, poetic, emotional, grounded. Middle tracks, true collaborations where their styles collided, creating something fans had never heard before. They discussed producers' names like Madlib, Hit-Boy, and even some unknown bedroom beatmakers they'd found online. The goal was authenticity over clout. Why Paris? Choosing Paris wasn't just about privacy, it was symbolic. Paris has a long history of being a refuge for artists seeking creative freedom. Jazz legends like Miles Davis and writers like James Baldwin found inspiration here. Far from the constraints of the American entertainment industry. For Kendrick and Cole, Paris offered the same escape, a place where they could plan without being hounded by TMZ or random fans live streaming them. The potential impact: if this project goes through, it could disrupt the entire streaming economy. Imagine two of hip-hop's most respected artists bypassing the traditional release model, creating something that challenges how we consume music. It's not just about sales or streams, it's about control. About taking back ownership of art from corporations. Some industry executives are reportedly nervous. If they do this and it works, one label insider said, it sets a dangerous precedent. Other big artists might follow, and we lose our grip. Fans, on the other hand, are buzzing with hope. Twitter threads are full of dream track lists, fantasy features, and theories about what the album could sound like. The meeting, both artists went silent online. No posts, no cryptic tweets, no music drops. It's as if they disappeared, exactly as planned. Silence, in this case, is the loudest marketing strategy of all. When Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole walked out of that hidden Paris lounge in the early hours, they didn't just leave with an idea, they left with a mission. And the moment their flights landed back in the US, the quiet chess game began. Step 1. Digital ghosting. Both artists disappeared from the public eye. No Instagram stories. No cryptic tweets, nothing. This blackout wasn't accidental, it was calculated. In an era where every artist chases daily engagement to feed the algorithm, going silent is the most disruptive move possible. Their teams were given strict orders. No leaks. No exclusive hints to the press. The Paris meeting would remain a ghost story unless Kendrick or Cole wanted it otherwise. Step 2. The hidden studios. While social media stayed quiet, Both rappers began moving through private studios in Los Angeles, New York, and Atlanta. But here's the twist: they weren't booking under their real names. They used aliases for recording sessions, sometimes sending decoys to the studio so paparazzi would think they were somewhere else. Trusted producers and engineers were flown in under the guise of unrelated projects. But everyone involved had signed airtight NDAs. An engineer leaked one tiny detail anonymously. The energy in that room was insane. They're not making hits, they're making history. Step 3. The strategy board. Kendrick's manager, Dave Free, and Cole's Dreamville team set up a strategy board that looked more like a military operation than an album rollout plan. No singles before the drop. Zero promotional interviews. A sudden, coordinated release date. Multiple formats: digital, vinyl, and a surprise limited edition cassette tape. Pop-up listening events in secret locations around the world. The goal: to make the drop itself an event, not just another Friday album release, drowned out by a dozen other projects. Step 4. The Paris tapes. One of the most mysterious details to emerge was that during their meeting in Paris, they had already recorded rough versions of 2 tracks. These early demos, now nicknamed the Paris tapes, by fans are rumored to be unlike anything in their previous catalogs. One track allegedly blends live instrumentation from Parisian street musicians with Kendrick's razor-sharp storytelling. The other is said to be a slow burn track with Cole delivering a 5-minute verse with no hook, no beat changes, just pure lyricism. If these rumors are true, these tracks could end up being the foundation of the entire project. The industry's nervous reactions. By midweek, whispers of the project reached the upper floors of record label headquarters. Panic quietly set in. This isn't just a collaboration, one executive reportedly said. If they really pull this off outside of the normal system, they're showing every other A-list artist that they don't need us. Apple Music, Spotify, and even Tidal began making informal offers to host the album exclusively. One insider claims Apple floated a $20 million proposal for a 2-week exclusive similar to the rumored $50 million deal Kendrick turned down earlier this year, but the duo's camp reportedly rejected every offer. The first leak. A week later, a grainy photo began circulating on Twitter. Kendrick and Cole walking together in Brooklyn, both wearing hoodies pulled tight around their faces. But the real shock was what Kendrick was carrying: an unmarked vinyl record sleeve. Fans immediately speculated it was a test pressing of their joint album. Within hours, #Paris tapes started trending worldwide. Some even claimed to have heard snippets, though, in the age of AI audio, it's hard to tell if they were real or expertly faked. The mystery countdown. 3 days later, both Kendrick's and Cole's websites displayed a single, cryptic image, a white clock counting down exactly 17 days. No text, no explanation, no logos. Fans dove deep into numerology theories, 17 being the combined number of Grammy wins between them, 17 symbolizing rebirth in some cultures, and others pointing out that 17 days from that date landed on a Friday. Perfect for a surprise drop. The bigger picture: this isn't just music, this is a statement. 2 of the most respected voices in hip-hop are joining forces to remind the industry and the world that true artistry doesn't bow to corporate timelines. If successful, their move could inspire other artists to take creative control back, shift focus from viral TikToks to complete bodies of work, prove that silence and mystery can be more powerful than endless content drops. The final quiet before the storm. As of now, the clock is still ticking. No confirmation from either artist, no leaks from the team, just the sound of anticipation building online. And when the countdown hits 0, whether it's a song, an album, or something else entirely, the world will be watching. And now, the clock keeps ticking. 17 days, no leaks, no hints, just the weight of 2 legends preparing to drop something the world will never forget. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Paris, a meeting nobody knew about until now. If you've been watching the signs, you already know this isn't just music hits, history in the making. The question is, are you ready for it? When that timer hits 0, there will be no second chances, no early listens. You'll either be there in the moment, or you'll be catching up after the shockwave hits. So here's what you need to do: stay locked in, turn on notifications, drop your wildest predictions in the comments right now, because the truth might be even bigger than you think. The countdown has started, and the storm is coming.